I'm going to tell you a story about someone who I thought was a scammer who ended up buying my first auction truck. Now, if you don't know me, I am brand new into car flipping. I've only been doing it for a couple months. I don't have my dealer's license yet. That's going to be in the works over the next couple of months. So right now I'm just actually buying them, putting them in my name, getting my insurance, whatever, and then flipping those vehicles, right? This is one of them behind me, and that's another one of them that I actually came home with yesterday, right? So I'm new to car flipping, but I'm not new to selling and buying things online. And I know there's scammers. There's going to be scammers anytime you're selling stuff online. There's going to be people who want you to ship things. There's going to be the VIN scam is the most popular one in regards to cars, where they say, oh, I need you to give me the VIN and that sort of information. But here's the thing, just because somebody uses maybe the same verbiage, or maybe they're using ChatGPT to translate, or things don't sound exactly right, doesn't necessarily mean that they are a scammer. Now, it is a decent sign of it, right? But it doesn't always mean that. And that's what I'm going to share right now. See, I've had a vehicle listed for, I'd probably say 2-3 weeks, right? It was my first flip truck. I got it listed. I started at $12,500. I dropped the price to $11,900. And then I think it was a day or two ago, I dropped the price to $11,500. And I got a message on Craigslist, which Craigslist is ripe with scammers. So is Facebook, but Craigslist is often ripe with car scammers because they email you, right? So it's not on the platform. So it's a lot easier for them not to get banned and that sort of thing, right? And so I got an email from Craigslist, and the verbiage that the guy used was 100% just like a scammer would be. In the first email, essentially he said that he was in the area for work and would love to come and see the truck, right? Not too terribly off, right? But the verbiage that he used, I am super interested in your truck and blah, 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 blah. Like the way he phrased it wasn't typical, wasn't normal, right? And so I was like, instantly my radar's up, but he gave me his phone number. So I text him, right? He said, please text me, right? Now again, scammers normally are not going to talk on the phone, right? So he said, please text me. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I sent him a text, and I essentially said, hey, I got your email, this is my number, are you interested, blah, blah. And he said, I would love to come and see it tomorrow between 8:30 and 9. And then he said the listing price is $11,500. Is that correct? Which almost every single time when it's a scammer, they always say something along those lines, right? So again, I'm like, all right, this is going to be a scammer. I even told my wife, I was like, this person says they're going to come and look at it, but it's like the exact same verbiage that another scammer in the past has used. Like, oh, I'd love to come look at it. Is this correct? Like, I'm interested in this listing, blah, 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 right? Anyway, so I was like, okay, wasn't expecting a whole lot. Truthfully, last night, like, he was messaging me. He said he'd see me tomorrow. I was expecting him to come back, 30 minutes later, 15 minutes later, and say, hey, can you run this VIN check? Because that's the most common scam with vehicles. So I was expecting that. I didn't get anything. So last night I moved the truck out, so it was right when you pull into the drive, so that way he could see it when he pulled in, that way he knew he was in the right place. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna go and do that, whatever. I was expecting him maybe to message me this morning. No message. And then I told him, I said, hey, shoot me a text when you're on the way. He sent me a text and said, hey, my ETA is 8:40. He showed up at 8:40. All right, I guess it's a real guy, right? He test drove the vehicle, he loved it, and he pulled out the cash. I handed him the title. We signed it, did all the paperwork, and he went down the driveway at $11,500, which is what I had it listed at. Now, again, there are scammers out there. You have to be careful of scammers if you're selling anything online. You're selling vehicles online. You have to be wary of all those things. You got to check the money. There's the cashier's check scam, and there's all of these different scammers that are out there trying to get you. But if I would have assumed, based on the way he was conversing, that he was a scammer, I would have missed out on selling my first auction truck. But because I was willing to communicate with him, because I was willing to take a chance, right? Like, I'm not taking a chance in regards to wasting anything except for a bit of my time, right? Because I know the scams. I know what to do and what not to do. So all I'm gonna do is wasting some time, worst case scenario. And so I went ahead and I was like, okay, fine, it is what it is. And ended up selling him the truck this morning for full ass. So if you're a newbie to flipping, or maybe you've been flipping for a while and you're always like, oh man, all these scammers, and they always send the same verbiage, and anytime anybody says I am interested, blah, 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 then I'm not going to do it. You would have missed out on a sale. I would have missed out on that sale if I would have done that. So just a word of advice, I guess. Obviously watch out for scammers. Obviously watch your back. Obviously know what the different scams are, but don't immediately assume someone is a scammer just because maybe the verbiage that they use or the way that they send the messages or whatever is a little weird, a little off. See it through. What's the worst case scenario? You waste a tiny bit of time on a scammer. It's not that hard to block them after you realize that they're a scammer. Not that difficult. And you may or may not get a sale.